My childhood friend called me late at night. What are you doing? I'm casting a documentary. I could hear him chuckling on the other end. What a wonderful HD documentary about human sexuality. And it's the island version too. I was stunned. Damn it. How did I end up casting an adult film to my friend's place? On a dark and windy night, it felt like the perfect time for some major escapades. So, while my parents were out, I planned to indulge in a classic adult film. To enhance the experience, I splurged on a casting membership, but for some reason, even though it said casting was successful, the TV remained silent. I was suspicious. Is my phone broken? I pressed the volume button repeatedly, but nothing happened. I dragged the progress bar back and forth, but still no response. Just as I was about to exit and cast again, my childhood friend Alvin Milton suddenly called me on video. Shouldn't he be busy gaming with his friends at this hour? To my surprise, as soon as I answered, he was staring at me with a certain indescribable look. In the background, someone seemed to be crying. Thinking it was a game sound effect, I didn't pay much attention. What are you doing? I casually said, just planning to watch a documentary to gain some knowledge and broaden my horizons. You should learn from my scholarly spirit instead of just playing games and watching basketball all day. It's so vulgar and reckless. Hey, Alvin Milton chuckled coldly. Then he switched to the rear camera and pointed it at his TV. What a wonderful HD documentary about human sexuality. And it's the island version too. Hilda Walpole, you're doing this kind of thing late at night. I saw that his TV was playing some inappropriate adult film. The sound was blaring, and the visuals were enticing and provocative. It looked somewhat familiar. Uncertain, I took another look. As soon as I did, I felt my scalp tingle, wishing I could just die on the spot, because it was exactly the thing I wanted to watch but had failed to display. Damn it. It seems I accidentally cast an adult film to Alvin Milton's place upstairs. Some people are alive, but she feels half dead. I rolled my eyes, my face flushed with embarrassment, barely able to breathe. Alvin Milton, let me explain. Alvin Milton switched back to the front camera, his handsome face full of mockery, half smiling. Go ahead, I'm listening. I forced a laugh. It's just curiosity. You know, pure curiosity. Alvin Milton curled his lip. Those guys can't compete with my looks or my body. Watching them is not as good as looking at me. Get lost. You're getting cocky now. I scoffed. But despite my disdain, I sneaked a glance at his face. He must have just showered. Alvin Milton's hair was still slightly damp. We had grown up together as childhood friends. I had seen him fall on his bare butt as a kid, his cocky poses during puberty while showing off his muscles on the basketball court, and his charming self in college attracting girls. If he decided to become an online celebrity, he could easily start with 1 million followers just based on his charming face. He's definitely more appealing than those actors. What are you daydreaming about? I'm not daydreaming. I'm thinking. Hearing this, Alvin Milton smiled lazily. All right, go to sleep. Just be more careful next time. Lucky for you, it was cast on my bedroom TV this time. If it had been in the living room for my parents to see, I'd have to prepare to collect your body. I got it. I scratched my head awkwardly, preparing to end the video call. From now on, I wouldn't cast anymore. If I wanted to watch something, I'd just sneak under the covers. But just then, Alvin Milton suddenly called out to me. Hilda Walpole, if you're really curious, you can come to my house. What for? I asked, confused. The boy on the screen smiled at me. I'll watch it with you, because I'm a bit curious too. That night, I rushed over to Alvin Milton's house in my slippers. His parents were already asleep, and I tiptoed into his room. From childhood to now, I'd done countless assignments in this room, snuck in many animated shows, and even had a few childhood accidents here. It was like a second home to me, so I easily found a small stool to sit on. I looked at Alvin Milton with bright eyes, feeling both shy and curious. Since he already knew about my little quirks, I didn't want to hide anymore. He glanced at me and coughed lightly. Are you really going to watch this? Yeah, you said you were curious too, so let's watch it together and learn. All right, I'll ask Dodge Wong for a resource. No need, I brought my own. Let's use that one we just watched. I excitedly shook my phone. Alvin Milton raised an eyebrow. What about casting? I shook my head, cautiously saying, what if your dad sees it while getting up at night? If we don't turn it off in time, we'll just have to sit at the table with headphones. You're usually a bit slow, but you're thinking quite thoroughly now. Seeing him dawdling, I pulled him a little. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up. Coming. What's the rush? Alvin Milton sat down beside me. Since the space under his desk wasn't too big, my legs naturally brushed against his thigh. He must have used a new body wash. The scent was nice and refreshing. It perfectly matched his showy personality but was a bit annoying. It tickled my nose. I turned to look at his profile, and the headphone wire between us shifted slightly. Alvin Milton, I'm starting it now. Don't run away. Okay, whoever runs away is a loser, Alvin Milton lazily replied. His voice was oddly hoarse, and his ears were a bit red. I had to admit, a classic is a classic. The quality might be a bit dated, but I was still blushing, and my heart raced, feeling both excited and embarrassed. It was thrilling but genuinely awkward, because the usually talkative Alvin Milton was surprisingly quiet throughout. Even his posture hardly changed. It made me feel like I wanted to say something to ease the tension, but I didn't know how to start. I could only sit there, feeling uneasy. Soon, the male and female leads began kissing, with a close-up shot. I don't know what filming technique they used, but the sounds in the headphones were especially clear, intimate and wet. I suddenly felt the air around me becoming stifling, a fine layer of sweat forming on my back. I bit my lip in annoyance. Oh no, it made me want to kiss too. Sometimes I really dislike Alvin Milton, because of his presence. My luck with the opposite sex has always been terrible. By the time my peers were smooching all over the place, I was still lamenting why the lemonade at Wang's family had gone up to $5 a cup. I should be been able to date in college, but none of the boys made me want to get closer, because none of them could compare to this dog of a friend, Alvin Milton. They weren't as handsome, tall, or muscular as he was. My standards were set too high. With a mindset of, better to be single than to settle, I remained single throughout my freshman year. Now that we were almost in our sophomore year, I hadn't even had my first kiss. My roommates and close friends had teased me for ages. So, for my first kiss, I had to at least find a handsome guy to give it to, so I could brag about it in my friend group for days. I don't know why, but at that moment, in this situation, an impulse suddenly surged within me. I directly reached out and locked the screen. All the enticing visuals and sounds vanished. What's wrong? Alvin Milton tilted his head to glance at me, his expression hard to read. I don't want to watch anymore. I fidgeted with my palms, stammering. Alvin Milton chuckled, his leg beneath the table intentionally bumping into mine. Weren't you pretty confident earlier? Why are you the first to run now? What's up with you? Whoever runs away is a loser. Do you want to be a loser? Of course not. I just found it a bit annoying to watch. Annoying about what? I took off my headphones and leaned in closer to him, counter-questioning. Alvin Milton, have you ever kissed anyone? Alvin Milton looked down at me. What do you think? Besides sleeping and going to the bathroom, I'm always hanging out with you. When would I have time? Oh, I knew you weren't doing anything bad behind my back. So why are you asking me about my first kiss? Alvin Milton leaned in closer to me as well. At this point, his body wash scent was more pronounced, almost overwhelmingly so. It made me dizzy, probably because the person in front of me was him. I felt free to express my curiosity and explore new things together, so I looked at his face and, without thinking, blurted out, I want to kiss you, like the male and female leads in the movie. Can I? As soon as the words left my mouth, the lazy smile on Alvin Milton's face vanished in an instant. His Adam's apple bobbed, his gaze fell on my lips, and it felt quite intense. Are you sure? I answered with a little hesitation. I'm sure. Alvin Milton's voice dropped lower as he stared at me intently. Why do you want to kiss me? I want to see what it feels like. So why do this with me? Are you full of questions? I couldn't help but kick him. Besides you, I don't have anyone else to try with. Alvin Milton paused, his eyes sharpening slightly. What do you mean? I explained helplessly. Well, we're so close. Kissing is no big deal. After all, I bullied you when you were a kid by pulling down your pants. You lost your dignity ages ago. Plus, I only know you. If I knew someone else, I would have kissed someone else long ago. It seemed like Alvin Milton's temples were throbbing. In the next second, he pushed my face away cruelly, nearly knocking me off the stool. Try what? Go back to sleep. I was completely dumbfounded. Damn it, Alvin Milton. Why do you change your attitude the moment I mention pulling down your pants? He scowled, sneering, because I'm a master of Sichuan opera face changing. Get out, or I'll just kick you out the door. Fine, I'll go. He has no idea he's kicking cotton. I flipped him the bird and stood up angrily, ready to leave, but he suddenly grabbed me. Wait, what is it? Alvin Milton expressionlessly took my phone, tapped a few times, and handed it back to me. I deleted those documentaries. You should watch less of that stuff from now on. Then he ruthlessly shoved me out the door. Fuming, I returned home, cursing and plotting to beat up Alvin Milton in my mind. I swore that before I went back to school, I would teach him a lesson. I'm not his dog. While I lay on my bed, trying to recover the things he deleted, my weshit suddenly went off like crazy. I checked and saw that my high school classmates were planning a dinner gathering. Initially, I didn't want to go, but when I saw Arlen Butler said he'd be there, I immediately got excited. Arlen Butler, my high school crush, was good friends with Alvin Milton. He was gentle and elegant, only slightly less popular at school than Alvin Milton. I had a crush on him for a long time. Once, I mustered the courage to have Alvin Milton deliver a love letter for me, but I never got a response. No response meant rejection. I cried like a baby that day after realizing I was heartbroken, and Alvin Milton, that jerk, mocked me, saying, "He's never going to like you, just give up." Later, Arlen Butler didn't take the college entrance exam, and went abroad for further studies, and I truly let go of my teenage crush. I never expected he would return to China during the summer vacation. I immediately revived my feelings, and said in the group chat that I would go to the gathering. ***, count me in. But the next second, that jerk Alvin Milton popped up, lazy as ever. ***, I'll go too. Then the group chat erupted with excitement. The conversation revolved around Arlen Butler and Alvin Milton. At that moment, someone asked, ***, do you two have girlfriends? Alvin Milton, always reluctant to share his personal life, didn't respond, but after a while, Arlen Butler replied in the group, ***, no. I immediately rolled over in excitement. That means I still have a chance. On the day of the gathering, I deliberately wore a beautiful little dress, and put on pretty makeup. I had to make sure to chat with Arlen Butler more today. Ideally, I would get a love token among his admirers, just to infuriate that jerk Alvin Milton. But when I opened the door, I saw someone lazily leaning against the hallway, in black short sleeves and cargo pants. He had an impressive physique. In short, he looked good, and I was momentarily captivated. I shot him a glare, refusing to acknowledge him. He naturally followed me into the elevator, his sleeve brushing against my shoulder. It was both annoying and ticklish. Hilda Walpole, getting bold. Hey, 3 days without replying to my messages. You didn't even open the door when I knocked. Ha, what level are you at that I should pay attention to you? Are you going to carry your own luggage when we go back to school? Of course, I can handle it myself, Alvin Milton said lazily. Oh, but I heard they're doing construction at school, and taxis can't get to the girls' dormitory. I felt a wave of frustration at that. The girls' dormitory at a university is on a steep hill, and every time I go to class, it's like climbing a mountain. I eat more than a pig, yet my weight never changes. It's all burned off. So if taxis can't get in, I'll have to drag my suitcase up the hill, and carry it up to the 5th floor. I reluctantly abandoned my dignity, turned, and clung to Alvin Milton's arm, sweet-talking him. Alvin Milton, how could I not pay attention to you? Speak properly. Straighten your tongue when you talk. Alvin Milton looked at me helplessly, yet the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, looking quite pleased. I pitifully explained, I didn't ignore you. Who told you not to try kissing me that day and then just push me out? My fragile self-esteem took a serious hit. So you'll cover the dinner costs today, and on the way back, You'll buy me a portion of candied chestnuts outside the community. We'll still be the best of friends. You can really shine when given a bit of sunlight." Alvin Milton chuckled as if amused. He abruptly shook off my hand and walked out of the elevator. I hurriedly followed him. As we playfully bickered and arrived at the restaurant for the gathering, I quickly started to act like a lady. I pulled out a small mirror to check my lipstick and hair. After thinking for a moment, I deliberately adjusted the shoulder of my dress to expose a bit of my shoulder. Just as I did that, Alvin Milton yanked my dress back up. "What are you doing late at night? It's not for you to see. Mind your own business." The slight smirk on Alvin Milton's lips faded away. "Then who are you showing it to?" I blushed and replied, "For Arlen Butler to see. Of course, he's coming to the class reunion today, and he doesn't have a girlfriend, so I have to make an effort." Alvin Milton's expression turned a bit grim. "He's still on your mind?" "Of course. He's so handsome and gentle. He's simply the best. You know that Arlen Butler." Alvin Milton's words suddenly stopped. His previously grumpy face inexplicably turned a bit mischievous. He tilted his chin towards a spot not far ahead. "Look, your crush just arrived." I immediately turned around in excitement, but the moment I turned, I was stunned, because I saw Arlen Butler getting out of a luxury car. As he walked around to the driver's seat, he leaned down and kissed the driver, looking so gentle. The intimacy of that kiss could not have come from anything less than a long-term relationship, but the driver was a guy too, and he was pretty handsome. While I stood there, dazed, Alvin Milton bumped my arm and taunted me. "Look, your crush has a boyfriend now. Do you still think he's great?" I numbly walked into the gathering room, numbly sat down, numbly watched Alvin Milton and Arlen Butler chatting happily. My heart fluttered, then sank, shattering completely. It felt like I could never piece it back together. I once thought my crush just didn't like my type, but I never imagined he didn't like my gender at all. He really doesn't have a girlfriend, but he has a boyfriend. Damn it. Is it too late to schedule a surgery in Thailand? It's time for a certain non-existent part to exist. Tears streamed down my face as countless insults surged through my mind. While my crush chatted with someone else, Alvin Milton suddenly tapped the table in front of me. Teasing. No way. You're still not over this little blow. I gritted my teeth and glared at him. Did you know this back in high school? Yeah. Then why didn't you tell me? You let me embarrass myself. Alvin Milton shot me a glance. That's his personal matter. I can't just go around spreading it. Fair enough. Such a niche thing about sexual orientation wouldn't be something Alvin Milton would casually share. What about the love letter? Did you give it to him? I'm seriously starting to doubt that you didn't give it to him. I hate you, you shameless jerk. Alvin Milton smiled. Don't slander me. I'm a person with morals. You've got morals. Huh. Oh, and just a heads up, he's known his boyfriend for a long time, and their relationship is pretty solid. Don't try to do anything reckless. I sighed. I know, I'm not that desperate. At least if I couldn't have my crush, no other girl could either. Thinking that way made me feel a little better. I sighed again, suppressing my frustration, and stopped looking at my crush. But suddenly, I thought of another issue and turned to Alvin Milton with wide eyes, as if I had discovered something incredible. Alvin Milton raised an eyebrow at me, pausing in his drinking. What are you scheming now? Just spit it out. I leaned closer, winking at him. Since Arlen Butler likes guys, and you're such good friends, you wouldn't. You don't date or flirt with girls. You wouldn't also like guys, would you? Alvin Milton snorted coldly. Then he laughed coldly again. The laughter got colder and colder, sending chills down my spine. He put down his cup and grabbed the back of my neck, pulling me closer. He spoke in a calm yet terrifying tone. I agreed to that kiss you wanted a few days ago. I'll show you whether I like guys or girls. The gathering continued. After Alvin Milton let go of me, he resumed chatting with our classmates, relaxed and casual. It was as if those 2 sentences he just said were as mundane as talking about the weather. I slowly lowered my head to eat, feeling daring. I joked with him, but I ended up with unexpected results. I just didn't know whether he was serious about kissing, or just joking. If he was joking, I felt a sense of relief but also a hint of disappointment. If he was serious, then I'd feel a bit embarrassed, my heart racing. For a moment, I felt restless. my mind wandering, and I unconsciously downed another glass of wine. Gradually, I could no longer hear the laughter and chatter of my old classmates. When I finally came to my senses, I found myself being carried towards the community by someone. It was quiet around me, and this person walked steadily with broad shoulders. That suddenly reminded me of something from the last semester of my senior year. During that semester, Alvin Milton had to return to his hometown for half a year due to school registration issues, and took the college entrance exam there. With him gone, I felt happy for a few days. Finally, there was no one to control or bully me, but after a few days, I started to feel a bit down. Every day going to and from school, I'm all alone. There's no one to banter with, and no one to patiently explain problems to me. It always feels like something is missing, but all I can do is exchange a few words with Alvin Milton on Weshit, even though he's hundreds of kilometers away. Not long after school started, in March and April, the weather changed constantly, with spring rains falling relentlessly. Unfortunately, I caught a cold, with a stuffy nose and a heavy head. My parents were away for work, so I had no one to look after me, and could only take some random medication. Feeling particularly lonely, I casually complained to Alvin Milton on Weshit. He must have been busy, preparing for the first mock exam because he didn't reply. The next day during the big break, my deskmate suddenly tapped me excitedly, "Hilda Walpole, someone's looking for you outside." I wiped my nose and walked out of the classroom. There was Alvin Milton, standing in the hallway with an umbrella, wearing a dark windbreaker and the uniform pants of another school. His collar stood up against his chin, looking casually stylish. Seeing me standing there dazed, he patted my head without hesitation, stunned. I was caught off guard and asked, "Why are you here? Is your school off today?" "I came to visit you, this left behind child, and to bring you some medicine. After you take it, sleep early tonight. If you have any math problems you can't solve, send them to me, and I'll explain them to you through voice message." "Okay." I clutched the medicine in a daze, watching his hair getting wet in the rain. His dark, bright eyes under his hair always looked lazy and a bit mischievous. "I'm leaving now. I have to get back to class." "Wait." I nodded, sniffled, and looked at him with anticipation. "Alvin Milton, you're acting pretty strange today." Alvin Milton paused. "What's strange about it?" "Strangely handsome, and strangely gentle." He laughed a little mysteriously. "When did you go to the hospital?" "Heh. Your eyes are finally better. They're not blind anymore." As always, he was a bit cheeky, and his gentleness was just a facade. I stiffened my face and stepped on his expensive sneakers, mixing mud and dirt together, messy and dirty. But Alvin Milton didn't get mad. Instead, he was overjoyed. "Take care in your exams. Let's get into the same university. If you don't, I'll throw you in the trash can." After threatening me, he hurried off. He must have been trying to catch the last bus. That youthful and upright silhouette perfectly matched the one carrying my burden at that moment. It felt comforting. The next day when I woke up, I quickly washed up and dashed upstairs amidst my mom's nagging. The aunt opened the door for me, but she was busy watching TV, so I greeted her and headed straight for Alvin Milton's room. He hadn't locked the door. It was slightly ajar. Thinking he was playing games, I pushed the door open. I didn't expect to bump right into Alvin Milton, who was just coming out of the bathroom. He had just showered, with his upper body bare and only wearing gray sweatpants on the lower half. No wonder people say that the temptation of guys in gray sweatpants rivals that of beauties in black stockings. The effect was indeed powerful. Alvin Milton was momentarily stunned, but quickly walked over to the closet to find some clothes. He looked calm, albeit a bit awkward. I touched my nose and said, "Why are you showering so early in the morning?" "It's hot." I was sweating. He glanced at me and began putting on a shirt. The atmosphere was a little awkwardly strange. I had to say something, so I sighed. "Alvin Milton, you're getting in better shape. It's better than the male lead in the documentary." Alvin Milton paused in putting on his clothes. He said darkly, "Thank you for making me mad so early in the morning. What do you want?" I leaned closer, feeling a bit shy and fidgety. "About what you said last night, wanting to kiss me to prove your sexual orientation, is that for real?" "Fake. I'm straight, don't worry." "Damn, he's playing with me." "Oh, Then it's fine. If you can't try with me, I'll find someone else. Feeling a little down, I prepared to turn and leave. But just as I pulled open his room door, someone grabbed it from behind, slamming it shut. With a bang, the door closed again, accompanied by Alvin Milton's gritted teeth voice. Can I not kiss you? Damn it. Alvin Milton and I sat on his bed, listening to the laughter coming from the TV in the living room, staring at each other in silence. The scene was quite similar to that night we watched the documentary, only this time, Alvin Milton's ears seemed a little redder, and he wasn't as annoying as usual. I poked his leg and asked curiously, do you want to take the initiative, or should I? Either works. Is it usually the guy who takes the lead, or the girl? I haven't kissed anyone, so I wouldn't know. Should we watch the documentary again to find the feeling? Alvin Milton took a deep breath, as if suppressing something. Forget watching. I'll come to you. You shut up. Okay. I looked at him eagerly, watching him lean toward me. The muscles in his arm that was supporting himself were clearly defined, with veins popping out from the exertion. This rough scene combined with Alvin Milton suddenly made me feel very sensual. In a daze, my face was gently kissed, usually cheeky and sharp-tongued. His lips turned out to be unexpectedly soft, but the contact was brief. Before I even realized how soft it was, Alvin Milton had already straightened up, his voice a bit hoarse, his Adam's apple bobbing. All done. We kissed. I pouted and said, I meant kissing on the lips, not on the face. Kissing on the lips is impossible. Why? Alvin Milton lifted his eyelids, looking cold and unfamiliar. That's reserved for my girlfriend. Are you my girlfriend? No. Then why would I kiss you? That day, Alvin Milton resolutely didn't kiss me, and his face was sulky. When the aunt knocked on the door, she thought we were fighting. Girlfriend. Alvin Milton looks like a player, but he's actually quite innocent deep down. Otherwise, he wouldn't have remained so pure all this time. Anyone who becomes his girlfriend would definitely be well taken care of. And what about me? If he gets a girlfriend, will he distance himself from me? He won't wake me up in the middle of the night to go out for late-night snacks, won't watch documentaries with me, and won't bring me medicine or carry my luggage. Friendship isn't as important as love, right? Thinking about this made me feel quite uneasy. The emptiness of not having him around during senior year surged back, leaving me feeling down. In the last few days of summer vacation, I stayed at home, no mood to mess around with him. He didn't come looking for me either. Occasionally, I'd see him playing basketball with peers at the community court, or passing by with a cold expression during evening strolls. Even on the day of returning to school, he just helped me carry my luggage up before turning to leave. I felt lost and dejected. My roommate asked curiously, did you two have a fight? Not really. Just feel like I should keep some distance from him. After all, he will eventually find a girlfriend, and we will become strangers sooner or later. Friends should act like friends. What? I thought you two were flirting, and were about to break that glass window. Now you tell me you're just friends. I weakly retorted. What flirting? We've always had this interaction pattern since we were kids. He'd tease me, and I'd get angry. I'd annoy him, and he'd hit me. It was chaotic every day. We've only mellowed out a bit as we grew up. My roommate was surprised. No way. Alvin Milton looks at you as if he's shooting sparks. You haven't noticed? What guy has nothing better to do than deliver milk tea and KFC to you at midnight, always sticking to you, only using the water you bring when playing basketball? If that's not liking you, what is? If it were anyone else, they'd already have thought about buying a second child school district house. I sighed. Like, how could he possibly like me? You don't know. He once clearly told others in high school that he didn't like me. What? My roommate was completely stunned. I felt even worse. It's completely natural to develop a crush on such an outstanding childhood friend during those youthful, naive years. But back in freshman year, because we were always messing around, the teacher thought we were in a relationship, so he was called to the office for a talk. When I pushed the door to go in, I heard Alvin Milton coldly reply, "Teacher, she doesn't like me, we're not in a relationship." So I buried my feelings, heartbroken, and turned my attention to my crush, Arlen Butler. But in the end, I didn't land any handsome guy. I hate it. My roommate's words only made my mood worse. I lay on my bed and clicked on Alvin Milton's profile. Feeling helpless and a bit angry, I poked at it twice, accidentally triggering a tap feature. Alvin Milton immediately replied with a deathly question mark. I awkwardly explained, I clicked the wrong button. Alvin Milton, no, I'm asking which one. Knowing he was mocking me for giving him the cold shoulder these past few days, I felt really uncomfortable and didn't want to keep this silent treatment anymore, so I directly slid down to apologize. I'm sorry, can we stop the Cold War? I'll treat you to dinner tomorrow. Alvin Milton was satisfied. Tomorrow won't work. We have elective course selection. Oh right, speaking of that, can you take basketball class with me? Alvin Milton, didn't you hate basketball? I explained, isn't it convenient for us to hang out together? Plus, with you teaching me, won't I ace this elective? Alvin Milton, call me, bro. I deliberately acted cute. Alvin Milton bro, you're the best. Alvin Milton, get lost. Yes. The Cold War was over. I held my phone, letting out a long sigh of relief. If he doesn't like me, then so be it. At least we still have friendship and kinship. Alvin Milton and I resumed our daily banter on Weshit, but due to the busy start of school and the distance between boys and girls' dorms, we didn't get to have that meal for a while. The next time we saw each other was in the first basketball elective class. When I rushed to the court, I found he was already there, casually shooting hoops with a few guys. That laid-back demeanor was striking. I glanced around and found the female-to-male ratio in this elective unexpectedly high. TSK. That dog of a childhood friend is still attracting girls as always. I sighed in admiration. At that moment, Alvin Milton suddenly turned his head to look at me. He tossed the basketball to someone else and walked directly over, throwing his arm over my shoulder. Heavy and warm, he messed up my neatly tied hair, leaving me looking quite disheveled. Dude, you're making me feel like a little figurine. Don't want to be my figurine. Want me to teach you basketball instead? As he spoke, he ruffled my hair. My hair was completely a mess. Look at him, with this kind of behavior, claiming that he likes me. Who would believe that? I elbowed him, finally managing to escape, and angrily redid my hair. Alvin Milton was right beside me, staring at me intently, as if me tying my hair up was something fascinating. What are you staring at? Nothing much. Just wanted to ask you for something. What do you want? That extra little hair tie on your wrist. Though I was confused, I still handed it to him. What do you want this for? Tying your hair, or maybe to tie your leg hair? Mind your own business. Go sign in for attendance. He directly pulled me to sign in. The black little hair tie on his wrist was quite obvious, and his ears were a bit red. This elective class never had any discipline. The teacher briefly mentioned the requirements for the finals, and then let us play on our own. Alvin Milton dragged me to a less crowded hoop, and began to teach me. He threw out a bunch of jargon. I felt dizzy from all the terms. Why was I enduring this blazing sun just to hang out with this jerk? Couldn't I choose a flower arrangement class to refine my tastes? Is a man's life that important? But there was no choice. I had already signed up, so I could only complain as I started practicing dribbling. That guy was just lounging in the shade, sipping water, occasionally throwing lazy jabs at me. Did you skip breakfast? Are you a zombie? Can't you bend your knees a little? I was furious. I was ready to throw the basketball at Alvin Milton's face to vent my anger. But then I saw a beautiful girl standing right in front of him, looking shy. Alvin Milton, after class today, do you want to go watch a movie together? No, thanks. Why not? I watched as Alvin Milton raised his arm, revealing the little hair tie with pink hearts on his wrist. What do you think? The girl froze for a moment, and her smile nearly faded. Oh, I see. Sorry to bother you. I held the basketball and quietly turned my head away. For some reason, I suddenly recalled a non-mainstream saying I'd seen online before. A guy wearing a hair tie suggests he already has a girlfriend. That represents a token of affection, and it also signifies love. After the girl left, I slowly moved closer to Alvin Milton. He glanced at me from his shady spot, his dark eyes piercing. Not going to shoot anymore. Not shooting, just taking a break. Lazy bum. Don't come to me for help during the finals. He lazily pushed me, and I wasn't even mad. Alvin Milton, I've always been curious. After knowing you for so long, do you have someone you like? Alvin Milton didn't answer but casually replied, what do you think? I think you do. Oh, then you guessed right. You really know people well. I moved a little closer to him, and the smell of his laundry detergent mixed with a hint of sweat was pleasant, not bad. In fact, it seemed vibrant. Who is she? Do I know her? What's she like? How much do you like her? Are you conducting a census? Why are you asking so much? Alvin Milton awkwardly shifted his gaze, not daring to meet my eyes. I deliberately tugged at the little hair tie on his wrist, my fingertips brushing against his skin. I'm just asking. Let's see if I have a chance to try harder. Alvin Milton quickly raised his eyes to look at me. He seemed shocked and surprised. What do you mean? Then what does using my hair tie to reject other girls mean? Are you saying I'm tying you down? I rested my chin on his shoulder, like I used to when we were kids. Alvin Milton, do you like me? His eyelashes fluttered a few times, and his throat moved slightly. When he spoke again, his voice was a bit hoarse and shy. Yeah, I like you. Is that a problem? I stopped playing with the hair tie on his wrist, and instead held his hand. Our hands were sticky and sweaty from playing ball. It felt uncomfortable, but he gripped my hand tighter. Okay, then can you kiss me? I'm still really curious. If I kiss you, then you have to date me. Then let's date, just as long as you're not afraid of my dad breaking your legs. After all, he always thinks you're a little hoodlum. Alvin Milton laughed and then immediately leaned down to kiss me. Oh, his lips were indeed soft and moist, like cotton candy, sweet and tender. His warm breath made my heart swell. Alvin Milton, let me tell you a secret. I've actually liked you for a long time, probably even longer than you have. Alvin Milton took a while to respond, then lowered his head to kiss me again. End of the main story. Epilogue. Alvin Milton Alvin Milton, your studies are quite good, and the teachers don't have to worry too much about you. The teacher knows that you and Hilda Walpole have grown up together and have a good relationship, but at school, you still need to keep some boundaries. There's a difference between boys and girls, and studies are the priority. Okay, teacher, I replied lightly. Seeing me like this, the teacher paused for a moment. I mean, you two can't start dating too early. Students should focus on their studies. Teacher, you're overthinking it. Hilda Walpole doesn't like me. We won't date early. I denied it firmly. The teacher was taken aback for a moment, then relaxed. Okay, then the teacher can rest assured. You go back and study. I'll talk to Hilda Walpole again. Sure. I turned to leave, feeling calm. But just as I was about to exit, I ran into a dejected Hilda Walpole. I thought she was down because she was afraid of getting scolded, so I patted her head, ready to comfort her. Instead, she swatted my hand away and walked straight into the office with a straight face. She looked like she wanted nothing to do with me. I felt a bit gloomy inside. It's okay, I can officially pursue her after the college entrance examination. But a few days later, Hilda Walpole asked me to deliver a love letter to my buddy Arlen Butler. Looking at her shy expression, I almost ground my back teeth to dust. My heart shattered all over the place. When I tossed the love letter onto Arlen Butler's desk, he was taken aback and then said shyly, Alvin Milton, I like boys, but I don't like you. You know I only like my boyfriend. If not, I sneered a couple of times. What are you thinking? This is Hilda Walpole's letter for you. Arlen Butler was confused. You too. Quick, read it, and reply to her after you're done. No need to read it. I won't reply either. Let's leave her some face. I chuckled. Leave her face. Who's leaving me face? My heart was shattered everywhere. That night, after being silently rejected, Hilda Walpole cried like a dog. I was both angry and pleased. I treated you so well, and you didn't even take a look at me. You deserved it, but I still liked her. I couldn't pinpoint exactly when I fell for her. After all, not every affection starts with love. Maybe it evolved from friendship, or perhaps it was from too long of companionship. Later, we both went to college together. I thought Hilda Walpole would never like me until she said she wanted to try kissing me. I panicked. My throat felt dry, and I couldn't speak for a long time. She was curious because she had seen some movies. While I genuinely wanted to kiss her, I don't even know how many times I've dreamed about it at midnight. I had practiced so much that I was practically obsessed with when to use my tongue. I just couldn't act on it. Until that time in the elective class, on a whim, I took her hair tie as a secret keepsake, and casually rejected a girl who approached me. I didn't expect it would bring me good fortune. I'll never forget that it was at 3 in the afternoon. The basketball court was a bit noisy, but it was cool under the shade of the trees. Hilda Walpole was playing with that hair tie, her eyes glistening with shyness. I'm just asking. Let's see if I have a chance to try harder. Alvin Milton. Let me tell you a secret. I've actually liked you. At that moment, my heart exploded like fireworks. Unable to calm down for a long time, I missed my youthful years. But it was okay. We have plenty of time ahead. The future is ours. The end.